Thank you. Hi, everyone. I am Kailaria. She, her pronouns.
I'm PleasantBreeze. He, him pronouns.
And we've also got our commentator, Waski. Waski? Oh. Well, anyway, so we're going to be showing off to you Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer, featuring The Legend of Zelda. It is a turn-based dungeon crawler, aka a roguelike, where every turn has a time limit based on the beat of the music, such that whenever you make or don't make a move, all enemies make their move for that same beat immediately after. If you don't press an input before the next beat, your turn is skipped. We sometimes make use of this in order to change our parity, as we call it, with enemies to hit them or dodge them better. All enemies have a pattern to their AI that is predictable for the most part, and unlike Crypt of the Necrodancer, this game has a procedurally generated Zelda-like overworld with many features that people who watch this channel are probably familiar with, such as Hyrule Castle, Grudo Desert, and Death Mountain. Dungeons are going to be a bit more random in a Necrodancer-like fashion, and unlike many Zelda randomizers, Pleasant and I are allowed to screen watch each other, as it makes the race much tighter overall and helps mitigate some of the RNG elements, especially later in the run. The category we're showing off is Story, All Instruments, NMG. It's based off of an in-game achievement, but without the requirement to play on permadeath. So it will require us to collect 4 instruments from the main dungeon's bosses in the present Hyrule, and then also wake up the other Hylian, which will be Link for us. And then taking a slightly hidden route in order to explore the future Hyrule overworld, that was added in the Symphony of the Mask DLC last year in September, to grab 2 more, slightly longer dungeons instruments before going to fight Ganon through the future barrier. The incentive was for which soundtrack we would be using, and it looks like you all have suggested for us to use the Family Jewels soundtrack. It's a very rocking album. So yeah, we'll be using that. Also, because this is a race, similar to other randomizers, we have a seed that we've selected, just ZSRM 2021. We have not seen this seed before, so we're entering into this race completely fresh with no prior knowledge other than the general procedural generation rules we've been able to gather from playing a bunch. So with that said, I'll be leaving it up to Waski, and Pleasant and I will be muting for the rest of the run, or until after we finish our run.
Okay, starting in 3, 2, 1. So at the start of the run, we always choose to play as Zelda over Link, because Zelda just has many abilities that Link doesn't have that are just far superior. For example, Zelda has Neighbor's Love, which allows her to deflect all damage for 2 beats. It's really powerful. It's basically you're invincible for a second or 2, and Link can't do that, so that's the main reason we play as Link. We play as Zelda at the start. Well, you're seeing here that the racers are pausing on and off in between beats. That is so that they can look at the overworld map. Very important to do this, because it lets you know where you're actually going to go, because these seeds are randomly generated, so not knowing where everything is kind of bad, so you really want to just look at your map pretty constantly. both players finding a very important key location, being the bomb shop. We'll use that much later on in the run for a one-floor skip in Grudo Ruins. Both racers checking Windmill Hut. Finding a bow. Both racers are taking extremely similar routes at the moment. That will definitely diverge later on. They will take different paths, because no one is going to play exactly the same, but this early on, pretty cool to see them doing basically the same thing, beat for beat. Both racers going to the Cadence Cave, which is where you find the loot. The loot allows you to teleport to Sheikah Stones, so both racers instantly go back to Hyrule Castle, which is a pretty good location that you will be seeing them go to several times throughout the run. Hyrule Castle is always generated above one of the overworld dungeons, so the fact that Zelda always starts at Hyrule Castle is really good, because you already know where one of the 4 dungeons in the overworld that you need to find will be at. So they're both going to Kakariko Crypt now, or Kakariko Graveyard rather. Inside there is the Kakariko Crypt, which is where you will find Link when you start as Zelda. Anyways, it'll be Link. If you start as Link, it'll be Zelda. In this case, it's Link. You need Link to be woken up because he's sleeping. Because before this, the run started, like in the story, Octavo, the bad guy of this game, made everyone fall asleep. So now we have to wake Link back up. We're not actually going to play as Link very much throughout the run. It's definitely a Zelda speedrun. Link is used very briefly at the end of the run, but for now we're just gonna see our racers looking for items in this crypt. PleasantBreeze fighting Freddy, which you can get a coupon after you kill Freddy, and it also makes all the items free once Freddy's dead. So fighting Freddy to get that key there allows Pleasant to get Link's mini-boss door open. Well, Shadow Link. We will be fighting Shadow Link here, which gives you the Hibiscus Potion once you kill Shadow Link. So now Pleasant can wake up Link and Kailaria not far behind. Gonna have Kailaria fight Shadow Link here as well. Both racers have glass slippers, which is a damage up. So instead of doing 1 damage, we'll be doing 2 damage, which is really good because a lot of enemies have a lot of HP in this game. Most enemies have more than 1 health, so having the ability to attack enemies for extra damage is just really good. The downside to it being glass slippers is that if you get hit once, your glass slippers will break, and you'll be going back down to 1 damage, at least if you don't have a damage up already. PleasantBreeze going to Lake Hylia, where he will be getting his Zora flippers from this little cave. You can know which ghost you have to kill to get the flippers because the ghost you need to kill doesn't have a reflection in the water, and killing that ghost will always wake up the Zora Prince, and he will give you flippers as a reward for waking him up. Kailaria not having enough stamina. She's gonna die to that Daira, unfortunately. Gonna be a little time loss there. Thankfully, in this game, death is not permanent, for most categories anyway. So, this early on in the race, dying isn't too big of a deal, although it still will result in a little bit of a time loss. So, PleasantBreeze is going through our first actual dungeon in the game. All these dungeons consist of 2 floors and a boss fight, but we normally skip the first floor of every dungeon, so you don't actually have to do every floor, which is very good for speedrunning. So in this case, we're on the 2nd floor of Frozen Grotto, fighting the mini-boss room as you did in Kakariko Crypt. Just gonna go straight to the boss fight. Gonna be Wiz Robo. Also, Pleasant finding a base rapier, which is really good. It allows you to attack and move on the same beat, which just saves so much time throughout the course of the run. So, Wiz Robo is a pretty healthy boss. So many hearts. I believe he has around 10 hearts. So, having this damage up this early is really good to make this fight a lot quicker. And if we're careful, we can beat the fight without missing any beats or taking damage. So we get a flawless victory here. Pleasant's gonna check a chest that you only get those chests if you have a flawless victory. Unfortunately, not really finding anything he wants. Kailaria also going to enter Frozen Grotto here. She did do a little overworld exploration that Pleasant do, though, so whoever is in the lead this early on, it's kind of hard to tell. Pleasant finding a Torch of Wisdom, which is very good, allows you to find items and other things throughout walls and chests, so you don't actually have to do as much scouting for good items. Kailaria making good use of that here, finds that key, which would have been a little harder to find if she didn't have that Torch of Foresight. You need around 5 keys minimum for this category, so Pleasant only has to find 3 more? Yeah, Pleasant only has to find 3 more keys, since he already spent 1 on his gold chest. Which, it doesn't look like Kailaria is going to find her base rapier. Oh no, okay, there's the base rapier for Kailaria, so base racers are going to have a really good weapon this early on in the race, which is really good. Pleasant going to be the first to actually do the Lost Woods phase. Also taking his time to get the Inspire, which is going to be really helpful later on. Oh, Pleasant actually is not going to be doing Lost Woods just yet. Just wanted to get the Sheikah Stone out of the way. Oh, no, immediately going back. Just to get a little bit of better routing to enter Grudo Village later on.
Pardon the interruption. We have a $25 donation from Mishy B. Go Jinxie Go being the comment. Thank you so much for your donation.
Okay, yeah, so Kailaria is fighting Uzrobo now. She has a 3 damage spear, which is pretty good. Gonna have a little faster fight than Pleasant because of that, as long as everything goes well. Having the Wisdom Torch allows Kailaria to know what Flaw's Chests rewards she has for offer. Unfortunately, none of them were good. Pleasant going out of the way to kill that Talus there. Unfortunately, nothing of value from it. Just a glass dagger, I believe, which you don't really want when you already have a rapier. Important thing to mention now. Pleasant is going through the Bombshell minigame called Bombshell Bowling, where if you throw your bomb shoes at the targets and you hit 15, you will get a bomb bag as a reward, which will be very important in the last dungeon of this game. Well, one of the last dungeons, anyway. Just kind of a marathon consistency strat. Pleasant first to enter Grudo Desert. Kailaria not too far behind though. She still has to do Lost Woods Sheikah Stone, but Pleasant making use of the Goron Locket that he got from the bomb shop earlier, which you can get the Goron Locket if you have a coupon, or if you don't have a coupon you can still get it. But either way, allows him to swim through the lava with the flippers, and it's just how you skip the first floor of this dungeon. Also, that was a really fast Grudo Ruins. Exit was immediately visible from the start, so Pleasant is going to be going down to the second boss, being base Guitarmos Knights. Pretty quick fight with this build that Pleasant has. Just gonna do a lot of pokes with this here, and has the Ring of Courage, so once he kills an enemy, he'll go to the one tile forward. Ooh, really important Ring of Piercing right here. Saves a ton of time once we get to the future, because it negates all shields that enemies have. Well, almost every shield, anyway. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, Ring of Piercing is the best ring that you can find for the future of this run. So that's very good to have this early on, because it's not guaranteed to find. Kailaria going to Grudo Village now, presumably going to be doing Grudo runs as well. Pleasant being the first down to Temple of Storms. He knows how to get through here, because once you look at the windmill hut, you can always look at the map and see where the temple is. So starting as Zelda, once again, is really good, because Zelda is very likely to spawn near the windmill hut. So you will always know, well, you will almost always know what 2 dungeons are at the start of the game. So just Zelda, very good character. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention, Kailaria just completed a button puzzle, which is just kind of a little music puzzle. You have to do the notes in the right order. And once you do, you get Power Glove, which is important later on for another skip, for the 1F skip of Lost Swamp. So you always want to get that in every run. There's like very rare exceptions where you don't actually care about getting the Power Glove, but thankfully both racers have it. Well, not thankfully, it's a necessity basically. Wasn't going to be fighting Glockenspiel. All you really have to do is pick up the bombs and throw them, and the fight's over. Kailaria had spent some time to upgrade her upgrade her rapier into an obsidian rapier, which once you have an obsidian weapon, you can deal damage on hit as long as you maintain your beat. So if you really want to just keep the beat, so you can keep doing really high damage. Pleasant found a hook shot, which allows you to latch onto various objects like trees here, for instance, and you can just skip a lot of tiles ahead, and it saves not too much time over the course of the run. There are definitely better items, but the hook shot still is very good nonetheless. It's still a time save. Yeah, once again, this really quick Grudo Ruins. Love to see it. It's just straight up, go to the left, and it's over. Since these dungeon layouts are random, sometimes they can just be a pretty big pain to get through them, but thankfully that one's pretty easy. Here, Pleasant making use of the Power Glove, just going to pick up that crate and throw it, and it lands on the button, and that's how you skip the first floor of Lost Swamp. Kailaria doing a really good strat where you just bomb the basic Tarmos Knights, and the fight's over. Rat Racing is the one who came up with that strat, and it is very good. Kailaria onto her third dungeon, while Pleasant is pretty closely wrapping up his fourth dungeon. So pretty soon, Pleasant will be going to the future, where we will see our fifth and sixth dungeons. Because in this category, you need to get all the instruments. So after you beat every dungeon, you get an instrument. So 4 in the present world and 2 in the future. So Pleasant getting his 4th instrument after he defeats Gomraka's here, which is a boss that has a ton of health. I'm pretty sure it has the highest health of any boss in the game. It is, well, except for Glockenspiel, I suppose, but that's kind of not the same thing. But anyways, Gomraka will throw these eggs and they will spawn, so you have to be pretty quick to defeat this fight, because otherwise you will be swarmed by little minions. With that instrument being collected, Pleasant is now going to be... actually, I'm not sure what Pleasant's doing. Oh, sorry, he's upgrading his rapier. I didn't realize that he didn't upgrade it earlier. He has boosted powers, so upgrading it for damage up isn't super necessary, but it does ensure that he will have consistent damage no matter what. Oh, even gonna use a key to open that door, which is not usually necessary, but in this case, it had an extra key, so might as well do it, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, Pleasant is going to be the first to enter future Hyrule. Kailaria not far behind, maybe a couple minutes behind, but we will see later on that being a little behind isn't that big of a deal in this category, because once we get to Temple of Brainstorms, everything can just completely change, because that dungeon is kinda hard. So yeah, this is where you really want this ring of piercing that our racers have. Basically every enemy, well, for the most part, many enemies have masks, which if you don't have a piercing ability, you will have to hit enemies an extra time to actually damage them. So basically every enemy has an extra hit point where they don't get attacked if you don't have a piercing. So piercing is just so good. Kailaria going through the Lost Woods maze. You know how to get through the maze without needing the use of the Tingle Tuner, because if you just follow the different enemy, because there are like 5 enemies, like 5 red goblins and 1 black one. You follow the black one and so on for the glowing rooms. Basically, just don't follow the path where the normal enemies are. So Pleasant going to Grudo Arena, and just gonna touch the Stick of Stone because he will go back to that later on. Gonna make a nice use of the fact that you have fixed speed when there are no enemies on the screen. So going to go up to Hyrule Castle and then you go down, and it's just a little quicker to go that way. Kailaria going to be going on to her 4th boss now. Afterwards, she will be going to Future as well. So both racers still pretty close race. Pleasant is going to be going to Temple of Brainstorms now. I don't believe he will actually be completing it. Just wants to get the Sheikah Stone, because screen watching is allowed in this category, and it's pretty important to screen watch at minimum during Temple of Brainstorms, because that's where it basically saves the most time. So yeah, we're just going to be seeing PleasantBreeze going to Grudo Arena, because there is no time to be saved in Grudo Arena from screen watching. So basically, Pleasant just has to finish this arena, then go to Temple of Brainstorms. Kailaria is entering Future. She doesn't have as much travel done in the Future as Pleasant has, so she is going to have to touch every Sheikah Stone that Pleasant already has. So Pleasant still maintains the lead, but not too big of an issue at the moment, because Temple of Brainstorms could still change that up. Kailaria picking up a sign as she exits Grudo Village. Very nice. Very important strategy. Saves like a beat. So basically, Grudo Arena consists of 5 floors, and for every floor there are like 20 or 30 enemies, and you want to kill these enemies as quickly as possible, because if you're not killing these enemies as quickly as possible, they will have a spawn cap. So basically, I think it's random how many enemies are limited per floor, but basically, if you have like 6 enemies, for example, the 7th enemy won't spawn until the 6th enemy is killed. So you just want to kill enemies as fast as possible to keep the spawn cap from not being met. So, Pleasant finding Boots of Leaping. Very unfortunate timing for finding that. Boots of Leaping is the best item in the game, essentially, but the fact that he has found it after all of his overworld travel has been completed means he will not be saving that much time with it. Boots of Leaping allows you to move 1 additional tile at a time, so you just save so much time when you have not much overworld traversed, but in this case, Pleasant doesn't really have anywhere else he needs to go, so it won't save as much time, unfortunately. Yeah, Kailaria going to be doing Temple of Brainstorms now. So as long as PleasantBreeze is screen watching, he will be able to get some important information from what Kailaria is going to be seeing in the Temple of Brainstorms. Gonna try to focus more on Kailaria's commentary at the moment, because Temple of Brainstorms has quite a bit to explain. Not so much for Grudo Arena. Okay, so Temple of Brainstorms is a very puzzly dungeon, more so than any other dungeon in the game. It's essentially the most Zelda-like dungeon that you will see in this game. It consists of 3 floors, all of which, of course, randomly generated tiles sets that you need to explore. In this case, Kailaria is in a boulder puzzle room where you have to get the boulders on the activation tiles in order to complete the puzzle. Then there is a Gibdo puzzle where you have to kill the Gibdo without missing any beats and kill it before the timer runs out. So basically, a lot of puzzles that you have to kill. You have to kill a lot of enemies in, or you have to do some quick thinking on boulder movements to get them on the correct placements for the activation tiles. It's a really cool concept. Unfortunately, it can also be kind of really difficult to do blind without having seen anything before. Because since this dungeon is completely random and you don't know what you're going to be doing, you kind of have to have like a strategy when going in ahead of time. So one of the main things that you really want to be doing is bringing in Din's Fire, which we see here allows Kailaria to open that purple chest. Ooh, yeah, she can get that ice rod. Unfortunately, she kind of messed up in that she pushed one of the things off, so she couldn't actually get to... anyway, that's not important. PleasantBreeze on the final floor of Grudo Arena, where he is going to be fighting King Debongo, which is a pretty slow fight. Kind of hard, but thankfully, with the use of Neighbor's Love, you can stop King Debongo in his place, and you won't take any damage. Unfortunately, that requires a lot of stamina to do. So, kind of be careful about where you use your stamina on this fight. But yeah, as soon as King Debongo opens his mouth, you want to place bombs in it, and Debongo will eat them, and that's how you win the fight. Just do that 7 times. Not that hard, I suppose, but it can be if you don't play it right. Kailaria found a very important item, the compass, which allows her to see where all the chests are when she looks at the map, and that allows her to also find the actual map, the map so she can look at the map. So she'll be able to go through all the tiles and know where she actually has to go to find the boss room, and potentially a Freddy shop, and also the unpowered synth. So getting the map essentially just makes this dungeon really consistent. Although it doesn't necessarily make it easier, it just makes it a little more consistent in that you know where you're going. You can still have trouble doing what you need to do while you're going to do what you need to do, but the map is just so good. So it's definitely worth going out of your way to get the map if you have the chance. This Temple of Brainstorms looks pretty straightforward now that we have this map, because she's not that far away from getting the unpowered synth and also access to the first floor where the boss floor is, well, the boss room is on 4th floor, so pretty good Temple of Brainstorms. Pleasant only has to complete this dungeon before he can go to the final fight of the game, so Pleasant kind of has a pretty big lead at the moment, but if he doesn't make good use of potential screen watching that he could have had earlier, he could get a little lost, so gotta see how much he remembers from what he saw Kailaria do. Yeah, Kailaria finishing up an Ice Lizalfos puzzle where you have to kill all the Lizalfos. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like she has quite enough stamina to do so. Or maybe she has barely enough? I'm not actually sure. It looks like Kailaria's gonna have to come back to this puzzle, unfortunately. Yeah, that's unfortunate. She was just barely not enough stamina to use Din's Fire to actually finish the fight. The Ice Lizalfos room. She wouldn't have to at that room if she had a key, but unfortunately no keys to be had. Pleasant going to the bomb shop, just gonna get a bunch of bombs. Bombs are really important. Just save so much time on so many puzzles. Like it's like crazy how many uses bombs have in this game, and particularly in dungeon mode. Oh, sorry, in puzzle mode. Dungeon mode is a completely separate category. Yeah, Pleasant making good use of Din's Fire there. Again, you don't have to enter with Din's Fire, but it's just so consistent to do so. It's just really encouraged. Both racers back at the ice puzzle. Kailaria this time has bombs, which she didn't last time, so gonna be much easier this time. Pleasant also has more than enough bombs to complete this fight. It doesn't look like Pleasant actually needs to find the map. I think he knows where he needs to go from screen watching Kailaria alone. So doesn't have to worry about going out of his way to get a map, because he already knows what it looks like from watching Kailaria play. Although Kailaria potentially will finish this dungeon first, she still has to complete Grudo Arena, so she's not quite done yet. Pleasant and Kailaria getting this unpowered synth basically at the same time. Both still have to actually get to the boss room to use the unpowered synth. Ooh, Pleasant finding the absolute objectively best fate shop, being the Great Green Fate shop. Unfortunately, at this point, it doesn't actually do much, but if you get it early on enough, it could save, theoretically, a ton of time. Kailaria doing another boulder puzzle. Pretty straightforward solution too. Ooh. Unfortunately for Kailaria, she can't actually get to the boss room's entrance from here. Gonna have to... Oh, wait, hang on. Oh, is that a feather? Yep, that's a feather. Okay, Kailaria actually can legitimately enter the boss room. And, normally, you just want to float across with hover boots, but in this case, Kailaria can't do that, so she's gonna freeze and feather to get on top of the entrance. But anyways, both racers entering the Synthroid fight, it's basically just a bunch of wire puzzles. You want the enemies to stand on the nodes while you are electrified and attack the enemies, and that will break the wire. You want to do that as many times as the level requires you to, and then fight's over. It's actually a pretty fun fight, in my opinion. Just have to watch out for enemy positions and push them in the right directions. Kailaria, in this case, is going to be switching to Link to actually do this fight. This is the one instance where Link is objectively better than Zelda for this category, because Link can use his shield to push enemies on top of the nodes, so you can essentially save quite a bit of time if you can push enemies to where you need them to go. And also Link has a knockback that Zelda doesn't get, so Link can also knock back heavier enemies. But with that being said, Pleasant is done with the fight, and he is going on to the final dungeon, which, spoilers, is where you fight Ganon. Yes, Ganon is the true final boss of this game. It is a 3-phase fight, where basically you just want to use a bunch of bombs, because Ganon takes extra damage from bombs. So instead of having to attack him 3 times, you, in theory, only have to attack him twice, which is just pretty good. Pleasant making pretty cool use of the fact that you can 6-beat mash after player 1 is stunned. This is the second phase of the fight. The category ends on the death of Ganon, which is coming up here shortly, once Pleasant gets to the third phase, when all players are on their respective Triforce pieces, will be the end of the run. Unfortunately, Pleasant having a little bit of a struggle with this second phase, potentially dying. We'll see. Only down to 1 health. But this is the third phase. As long as Pleasant makes all players go on the Triforces, that will be time. And yep, GG's, that is time. Kailaria still has to do Grudo Arena. Not really much going on in Grudo Arena. It's just you have to kill a bunch of enemies, and in this case it's kind of even harder because it's just a dark level, so enemies are less likely to actually aggro when they spawn, so they might not see you immediately. But yeah, this was a pretty good run for both of our racers. Sub 30 minutes is definitely a really good time that you want to be looking for when doing this category. I believe this is the 3rd floor for Kailaria of Grudo Arena, which is unfortunate that she had 2 dark levels in a row. Because it's not guaranteed to have any dark levels, and 2 in a row is just really bad luck. The most I've seen in a row is 4 dark levels in a row. It's just crazy. I hate that you can get that many, but it is possible. I've yet to see 5 in a row, but I'm sure it's possible. Yes, this is the 3rd floor. An Iron Knuckle Knight Rider guy thing spawns, and you kill it on the end of the 3rd floor. And that's the end of the 3rd floor. You just go to the 4th floor, which is where the music gets a lot more intense, and there's even some bongos playing in the background. Although this is the one of my favorite songs in the game. It's just so good. Maintaining her piercing all the way to here. There are so many enemies in this particular level alone that have the ability to not take damage from certain directions, like the iron knuckles. You can only hit them from the back normally, but if you pierce them, you don't actually have to hit them from the back. You can also bomb iron knuckles for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why bombing counts, because bombing isn't necessarily piercing, because if you try to bomb a skulled enemy, it won't count as piercing, it'll just break the mask. So I'm not entirely sure why iron knuckles actually are killed by bombs, but they are.
I think they just have special
Kailaria finding the boots of leaping as well. Again, not really that useful this late on, but it's there. It'll help a little in getting through King of Bongo, because you can leap around and actually get to his mouth quicker. But that's about all the use that she'll be getting out of it at this point in the run. But yes, having the bomb bag that you get in Grudo Village allows our players to have up to 20 bombs total. Well, you have 10 bombs and 10 bomb shoes, effectively 20 bombs, because they basically do the same thing. Ooh, Kailaria going down to a little low health. Thankfully, she has an Eat Scroll, which allows her to spawn a fairy, which brings her all the way back up to full health. So getting down to 2 hearts didn't actually matter that much. So yeah, taking intentional hits from King of Bongo here just to make it so King Bongo doesn't actually stand still. It gives him a chance to spawn enemies. So our players always want to stop King Bongo in his tracks whenever possible, without, of course, dying himself. After this fight, Kailaria will also be going to Ganon, picking up some extra bombs there so she can do the double bomb strats during the Ganon fight. Or it doesn't have to be double bomb. I believe Kailaria likes to not double bomb, actually. Usually just pokes and then bombs, which works just as well. Oh, Kailaria getting stuck on the tree trying to hookshot. I'm not sure if Kailaria actually remembers that she has leaping or not, because she's not using it here, just using the hookshot. That's fine though. The leaping doesn't really save that much time at this point anyway. It's okay. There she goes. The leaping has a very limited durability and how much it actually can be used. Thankfully, that was nerfed in a 1.5 update in January. So leaping is no longer as overpowered as it used to be. Breaks pretty quickly now, actually. But again, first phase Ganon, no mini bosses are spawned, just normal bomb and poke or double bomb in that case. Also, something I failed to mention, once you're walking up towards the Ganon fight, you can see Octavo lying on the floor. Never actually meet him in this category, because you don't have to fight Octavo, because that's done in the present world, and you don't have to do that here. But anyways, once again, once all players are on the 3 tiles, that is when Kailaria will win for herself. And GG's.
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 Oh man, that death early really messed me up.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Especially losing keys and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't think we had the chance to say it. Kailaria doesn't normally play on the Family Jewels soundtrack, so maybe the stamina death could have been avoided as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the seed was going to be pretty trolly at first, looking at
those
going
walls.
Yeah,
all those walls.
A lot of walls preventing desert access until pretty late into the game.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that leaping was just way too late for it to be useful for either of you.
I mean, it's still like only 2 minutes off of my all instruments PB, so I'll take it.
Yeah, very, very good runs, both of you.
So yeah, that was Cadence of Hyrule.
I kind of gotta apologize, because actually right as we were setting up, and when we decided to cut the incentive off, Ragnarok actually donated $100 towards Ragnarok actually donated $100 towards the original soundtrack. So he would have had to play on the original soundtrack actually, but
oh no,
I didn't see it, and I'm so sorry. So if you want to reassign your donation, I will gladly do so. But yeah, big shout out to both of you and to Vasky. That was fun. It's always fun to have these short little races where there's a lot of action for like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And we do not have enough. We do not have enough cadence on ZSR, so I'm really happy that we got it in. So yeah, GG's to all of you. Anything you still want to say? Go ahead. Now's the time.
Yeah. So definitely shout outs to the Condor community. That's the Crypt of the Necrodancer online racing league. They're the main hosts of everything Crypt of the Necrodancer related, including Cadence of Hyrule.
Yeah, actually, is it cool if I share the Discord link to that? Because they're great people.
There you go.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so definitely major shout outs to that. Shout outs to Brace Yourself Games for all the great games that they make, including this one and Necrodancer. Anything you guys want to say?
I thought it was a really good time. I always enjoy doing these commentaries. It's very fun. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely great to be here. Thank you, Wasky, for commentary. Thank you, Kailaria, for racing. Thank you, Trez, for hosting. And thank you all, chat, for watching.
And thank you for being here. Alrighty. That's it. We are going to go back to the break screen and see you all very soon.